So, with that said, I believe now it is time we get on to... Wait for it. The grand finale! And like I said, over the years that I've done this, in fact, I think it's now been 5 years since I've done AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. But what we are going to talk about right over here may be the craziest story yet. And this is not related to any news that's been happening in the animation industry or in entertainment or what's been happening in the world. This is honestly a personal tale that I need to go and share with you all of just the madness that, admittedly, part of it is my fault that I had to go and endure. Isn't that right, Devin?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Part of it is your stupidity and not listening to me. But go ahead and keep going with this one, because I am going to be bragging about the fact you didn't listen to me.
I know. So what I am talking about specifically, it's regarding a fan. And honestly, this fan has to be the most toxic and most insane fan that I ever came across on the internet. Now, this individual goes by the name of Diego, or sometimes on social media, you would see them as Scout Art. That's like kind of the surname that they would go and give themselves. Now, the thing with Diego is that, much like many of you who are watching or listening, Diego is a big passionate fan of both Disney and animation. In fact, like, he has a very strong passion for it where he wants to go and pursue a career on that. And I would even go as far and say that his dream that he would often boast about on social media is that one day he would work at Disney Animation so that he could become a director of a 2D animated musical. You know, that was his big dream. That's the big thing that he really wants to go and do. And he has other dreams as well. He also wants to be a voice actor so that he could be the voice of Luffy for the Latin American version of One Piece. That's another thing that he would go and often boast about. And in that regard, honestly, that's perfectly fine. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has passions that they want to go and pursue. But the big thing with Diego that really separates himself from everyone else is that his dreams, he doesn't view them as dreams. He views them as prophecies. He doesn't think. He knows that it's going to happen. That for some reason, it's like he saw it in a crystal ball and he sees those are the things that will happen in his life. And he feels like it is an absolute guarantee that it will happen. And with that attitude of thinking that those are prophecies, he acts as if he made it. He acts as if he has already done those things and that he takes pride in those things. So that's why he would go and boast about his accomplishments or about what he is going to do, and has this very narcissistic and egotistical attitude towards everything that he would go and write. Every post he makes like has that air of ego, of just feeling so superior, of feeling so great about himself, just has to keep on boasting about who he is. Like, honestly, he has an ego that can be fairly compared to Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Like, he really is that kind of individual that he feels like he's just so great. In fact, on multiple occasions, he would go and boast that he is this multi-talented artist, about how great he is and that he's a wonderful human being all the time. And often when he would go write a comment on whatever post he sees, he always has to go and switch the subject to make it about himself. It doesn't matter if it's related to whatever the topic is on the post, or like whatever I would write. Like, it could be completely random, but he would have to go and desperately find a way to make it about himself, that he had that somehow just derail the conversation so that it's just about him. It's like literally, it's almost all that he could go and talk about. It's just talking about himself, regardless if it has anything to do with the post that I would go and write. So like you've probably seen some of these posts, right, Devin?
Yeah. I have, and what's so sad, I've seen this one on YouTube. I can't remember which YouTube video it was. It was the one of our previous podcasts we did together. He
Mm-hmm.
despises me because I'm
Yes.
friends with you. He hates the fact that I am friends with you, and that it's like, what's the secret to being friends with AniMat? And I was like, dude, there's no secret. It's called I have a personality that we happen to get along. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
It's like
So
I
wow.
deal with multiple people like that. Like they're like, "What's the secret?" There's no secret. I didn't like put a magic spell on you.
Sorry, I just need to mention that there was a very well placed subscription into what you just said. So honestly, that was a really good job. Thank you, DJ, for the subscription there. But yeah, that also brings up another thing that he views himself like, considering that he also thinks that he's a great animation aficionado. Like there could be times when he's like obsessed with me, that he idolizes me, and this is actually the first act where like I got my serious red flag on him. Oh, and thank you for the subscription. Oh, thank you for the gifted subscription there. That's very nice. But I remember like he desperately really wants to be like me, like be like all knowledgeable about animation, and like because we have similar interests in animation and Disney, he really thinks that he is above everyone else, and that we are like kindred spirits, that often that he so desperately wants to be partners with me, that we're like spiritual brothers in a sense. Like he would keep using that kind of vocabulary, thinking that he is much more than just a fan, and that he is above everyone else amongst my fan base, where he is more special and that we must work together. And that and like more often than not, he would express how he is just so desperate to want to collaborate with me, like be a guest star on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, or like collaborate with him on like one of his videos. Like one project, and now thinking about it, it really does say a lot about his personality, and really does say a lot about how he views himself. He really wanted me to do a collab with him where we would just sing "It's Tough to Be a God" from The Road to El
God, I
Dorado.
remember that.
Yeah, he really wanted that kind of collaboration. And and honestly, I would try to be as respectful as I can be, and I would tell him no, or I would just go and decline. And I would tell him, look, I don't want to go, I don't want to have any kind of like major partnership. I don't want that kind of relationship. I want, what you and me have. I just want it to be just a fan creator basis, nothing more. And I tried to reason with him, but he would just deny it. He would refuse, he would just reject all that. He would keep disrespecting my wishes, and he just wants to go and view me as a partner. Like even to this day, he desperately wants to view me as like a brother from another mother, or like kindred spirits. Like he would still make these comments to this day. And it is because of that where over time he ended up growing a bit of that resentment because I said no to him. And often one criticism that he would keep on repeating over the years is that I'm apparently picky. And he would go and like pinpoint at random moments in whatever review I have done over the years, like try to point out like, well, you would say things like this, and that's just wrong. That's just you being picky. And he would keep on saying that I'm picky, I'm picky, I'm picky. But I know that's not a valid criticism, because for him, I'm only picky because I did not want him to be a guest on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, or I do not agree with him to go and work on like one of his videos. Or also, and it is also worth noting, like another factor of his obsession, I forgot to bring this up, but he also has his own YouTube channel where he would make animation look back style videos. I think like he legitimately made like a full on copy of animation look back, but going into the history of Warner Animation Group, or all the animated movies that Warner Brothers has done over the years. And there was one segment in particular, when he reached the 1990s and the early 2000s, he would go and try to praise me like a god. Like literally, like there is an image where you see like SpongeBob from the Krusty Krab training video where he was just like bowing down to the poster of the Krabby Patty, but instead it was actually my face. And from there, he literally took my video where I would talk about the history of Space Jam and Looney Tunes Back in Action, and he would just put it up. Like, he would like cut out the intro and the conclusion of it and just straight up upload those videos to make it look like a collaboration. Like, he flat out stole my video of that to like, you know, just for the purpose of living his fantasy that we're collaborating, that we are buddies. And I've never done this before, but I had like, or maybe I have a few times, but I had to go and strike down that video because it's legit like it's flat out stealing. And like honestly, he did not learn his lesson from there. Like, honestly, he didn't understand why I had to go and punish him, because he kept on saying, but my intentions are good. My intentions are well placed in here. Why can't you see my intentions? Because like your intentions should be above the law. Your intentions should be above everything else. Like, bull crap, man. Like, you're just saying your intentions does not freaking hold up to court. So that was honestly my first major red flag of how this individual is a little bit messed up at times. And yeah, like when you mentioned Devin, like that whole factor of like the pure jealousy that he would have, like can you, Devin, could you please explain to the audience when you tried to reason with Diego?
Oh God, that was like a headache and a half, because I tried reasoning with him too. Like, he was just on that same, like, how are you friends with AniMat? How can I get on the podcast? How can I do this? And I'm just like, dude, you know, he's not going to be friends with you if you're going to act like this. And I just kept, like, saying, like, I've known him for years. I know what Matt's like. We're friends. Like, Matt and I are actually friends, which most people have figured out by now. But Diego, in his mind, he is like, no, these two are not the dynamic duo. I actually found that original post. He's like,
oh, really?
And yeah, it was pretty funny. I was like dying. Yeah, he was like, yeah, Devin and Matt are the dynamic duo. Yeah, right. And did the like frown emoji or whatever. And I'm just like, dude, you were just jealous. You just can't stand me because of the fact that I am friends with you.
Yeah, that and you have something that he so desperately wants.
That's the way, like, I tried talking to him. I tried saying my piece. Try to give as best advice as I could give. Did he want to listen? No. So I decided, for the sake of my mental health, and I've dealt with stupid, blocked him. I was like, F this. Fuck this. Sorry. No, I'm not dealing with this. And I don't know how many times I've had to tell. I'm like, dude, Matt, block him. I kept telling you to block him. I don't know how many times. You're just like, no, I kind of like the entertainment of this guy being a freaking asshole.
Oh yeah, I'll get to that. I know. But
why?
But yeah, I mean, but you do bring up another good point about Diego, and that is regarding the fact that another toxic element about him is that he cannot handle criticism whatsoever, because he has this godlike view upon himself. He thinks he is immune to any form of criticism, or whatever criticism is offered to him, it needs to be delivered in a positive way. Like, you have to be very nice to him because he is so sensitive and stuff like that. And yet, ironically, the thing is with Diego is that he is that kind of person that he cannot handle being treated like how he treats everyone else, because he is perfectly fine. He has no filter when it comes to criticizing others, when it comes to saying things that he has a problem with everyone else, like especially with me. Like, if he's not commenting about himself, he's just complaining about a completely random thing that I would do. Like, I remember there was one comment that he did on one of my shorts. Like, you know how I would go and upload short, like quick 1 minute shorts, like on YouTube or on Facebook, on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever. Like, there was at one point that he would go and comment and say, like, you've already mentioned this in a video you made a few years ago. Oh, you're just repeating yourself now. What the hell, man? Why don't you find more original things to talk about? Like, he would just keep on complaining again and again and again. But if you go and criticize any behavior that he would go and make, he would quickly go and try to get rid of that, get rid of it. He would try to deflect any criticism that he would make. He would always find like any excuse in regards to his behavior, or try to go and make the criticism be more about you. Because if there's one thing he cannot handle, is any form of criticism. Like, this person really gets triggered. Like, he gets very much unhinged. He is at his worst when you would go and criticize him. Like, I'm just saying right now, with the kind of obsessiveness that he has, and with the kind of like mental stability he would have in terms of criticism, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that entirely, but I do believe John Lennon and Selena had that kind of fan before and did not end well for them. In fact, I would even say, like I have thought about a few times, if there ever was a day that suddenly I would meet Diego in real life, I would question my survivability. I would question my survival rate at that point.
Okay, I have found it. I have found what
You did?
I found the thing I was when I was trying to talk to him. This was what he said back to me.
Okay.
And it's long, so be warned, guys. I guess I have no choice but to respect specifically that kind of opinion, but I am very disappointed on your kind of ungrateful response and viewpoint. When I'm trying to be nice with noble actions as a special exception, and you should know that I share specific things to the people I trust, blood or not related, when it comes to new friendships made as a Valentine gift, or when I'm trying to help AniMat. Because despite the things that happen between the two of us, at least I have a loyal heart. So eventually he can be wrong about my actions. Even personally, keep in mind, poor guy. I am an Asperger's syndrome with like some filmmakers, and hopefully you do appreciate, oh my gosh, I gotta find it, what I did to my YouTube channel regarding the WB animation history look back, on par with his works. Take care now, buy them, but don't estimate things, please. Still respectfully speaking, wish me luck on my multifaceted talents. My response was, alrighty then, bye!
Yo, that's one thing he would keep saying. That is one thing that he would legit keep on saying. Like, if you criticize him, his common response would be, don't underestimate me. That's almost his catchphrase. He would keep telling people, don't underestimate me. You know you shouldn't underestimate me. And that's another toxic trait that he has, loyalty. And that's one thing I know, like, I know I had to block him, and why he would never go away is because he thinks loyalty is such a positive trait. He doesn't realize any of the problems when it comes to loyalty. And there are some things that he is loyal about that can be a very serious problem. Like, I remember, like, one thing that he's also loyal is the monarchy. And if you've listened to my podcast, if you've watched it and stuff like that, then you know that I am not a fan of the monarchy whatsoever. So you can imagine the kind of comments in which he was very upset at me for the things that I would have to say in regards to the monarchy, whether it be with Queen Elizabeth or King Charles or whatever. But also, another person that he is very loyal to, John Lasseter. No joke. He is one of the biggest defenders of John Lasseter. Anytime he is brought up that you would criticize him, or that you would bring up his misconducts that he has done, he is always the kind of guy that's like, well, at least he's not Harvey Weinstein. At least he's not that bad. He is a great person in terms of how he innovated animation. Don't forget about that. Like that, yeah, and that, you know,
Oh my
that's one
God.
reason why I really am hoping that he never works in the animation industry, because people like him who are like John Lasseter loyalists, yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you that it's either they are not going to help those who are in need, like they're not going to help victims of sexual harassment, or worse, they want to be like John Lasseter. And I think there was even at one point, like, I think it's been a while, but honestly, I think he legit commented that he thinks maybe the women have lied about John Lasseter with no proof whatsoever.
Oh, you know what? I think I do remember something about that. And here's another thing I'd like to bring up about him as well.
Yeah?
And this is a common thing with people. Like, I'm not saying Asperger's syndrome is an excuse for you to have the actions that you do. I mean,
No.
I have nothing against people who have Asperger's and autism, because I worked with autistic children, and they are some of the most amazing kids I have ever worked with. There is nothing wrong with having that kind of disability.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to say here is basically, don't let your disability be your excuse to why you're an asshole. Because I'm telling you, actions speak louder than words. And you can tell me all this crap all you want. But if you say to me, oh, my disability is my excuse me, I have one hand. That doesn't make me an asshole. I mean, I
Yeah.
act like I get a little sassy, but that's different. I mean, I'm my own personality. I am my own person. I don't let my disability guide what I am doing with my life. My disability is there and I live with it. So I hate those people that say my disability is my excuse for why I act like this,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not.
No, it really
You
isn't.
know better. You choose that. That's a difference.
Exactly. Like, even the people watching this, like, I know a lot of people in my fan base. I know, like, people in the chat wall, or people listening or hearing this right now. Like, I know many of you are neurodivergent, and you know what? You're autistic. You have you have Asperger's syndrome.
Asperger's syndrome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. That's cool. I mean, like, you know what? Be yourself. That's perfectly okay. But what Diego is doing here, this is not a case of Asperger's. This is the kind of mental problem that Elon Musk has. Seriously, it's really that kind of issue. But
Yeah,
I
I
will
just
say,
wanted to say that too, real quick,
yeah,
though.
yeah, of course. But you might be wondering though, what is it that got to me that I had to go and block him? What is it, the thing that honestly crossed the line? Well, this is actually something that happened a few days ago. It was on Thursday, and I had bad luck in which I wanted to go and watch Across the Spider-Verse, but unfortunately, that cinema had some serious technical problems where they had to go and try to fix the projector, or the file to go and play Spider-Verse was corrupted, so they had to re-download it with crappy internet. So I ended up waiting 50 minutes in the theater, waiting for it to come out, and I ultimately bailed out because I had something to do later. I had to be with family and get dinner. I ended up watching Spider-Verse on that same day later at night. What Diego decided to respond is with this one right here. Or, sorry, I'm just gonna go and hide that name. There we go. So this is his response. Honestly, in my opinion, you kind of deserve it. Considerably, even after disappointingly not giving more plus on the Mario movie for its amazing story execution, despite that you liked it in general. And that is what I learned from you when considering movies for analyzing carefully, especially when you once said about simple / scripts to great execution. Mario was supposedly one of them. Too bad that in recent times, your relevancy is not that high for most people, even for myself as I used to, despite that I still liked your Muppet look back. In other words, honestly, wish me luck in at least crafting an animation test of Figment with your voice. Hopefully that shall cheer you up in a personal way, outside of the media pressure plus random stuff you are having, in my humane opinion. Yeah, like this right here. Sorry for my language, folks. Oops, wait a minute. Nope, not you. There we go. But honestly, that was a fuck you. Like, that really was the moment where I said, okay, that's it. Fuck you. Fuck off. I am blocking you for good. Not until I did a few responses just calling him out on that. Because honestly, that just goes way too far. And it's a clear example of the dude's insanity. Like, the reason why he went out, like, this has nothing to do with Spider-Verse whatsoever, but saying that apparently I deserve it because I criticize not the Mario movie, but just the story of the Mario movie, that I didn't praise it as much as he did. And on top of that, adding insult to injury of trying to say that, oh, you're falling off, you're not as relevant as you used to. And then, right after saying that, he went completely 180, like without missing a beat, like just to say, oh, by the way, I'm doing an animation test with your voice of Figment. Oh, wish me luck on that. Like, are you kidding me? You want me to wish you luck on that after you said this entire bullcrap? Like, eat a bag of dicks, dude. Like, how insane do you think I am? Oh, no, wait, no, that's not it. Like, it's ridiculous, man.
Here's what when the moment you told me this, I was like, oh my god, you had my influence on that. I am not, I will say, I know I have a bit of a sailor mouth at times, but that was the first time where I actually heard you so pissed off where you actually said fuck off. And I'm like, oh my god, what have I done?
Yeah, honestly, no, he freaking...
I mean, I'm just kidding, but it was really funny. But
no, but he absolutely
really
deserved it.
it.
Yeah, like, oh my god, like, why would you even, like, the reason why is just so irrelevant, and then, like, you would add, like, such an insulting comment of trying to say, like, well, you're not as relevant as you used to, and then suddenly trying to say, oh, wish me luck. But the funny thing is that looking back at this comment, you see how it is so toxic. And this is the definition of an abusive relationship. Like, this person is bullying and belittling me over something so insignificant. And then he tries to be positive about himself and even tries to say, oh, what's the solution for, what's the solution to go and cheer you up from all the media pressure that you're facing? It's me. I will come in and try to cheer you up with this animation test that I'm doing, that apparently I'm the problem and that he is the solution. This is the behavior of a full-on abuser. And this is the one where I realized, like, okay, I gotta stop talking to this guy. Like, honestly, like, yeah, it was hilarious before with his crazy antics, but now this is at the point where, like, this is starting to go into harmful and dangerous routes. And that's why I had to go and block this guy. And by the way, we're going to go on a quick break. This is just our one last break to go and restart the timer on Twitch. But then when we do come back, there's a little bit more that we do have to say. All right, so we are back, but I'm not fully done. Like, there is still a little bit more before the story would go and conclude. So yeah, like, he would post that comment, and I did, like, at that point, that's when I went and took action, and I blocked him on almost everything. Like, I blocked him on YouTube, I blocked him on Twitch, I blocked him on I blocked him on Patreon, I blocked him on Twitter and whatever, to make sure that he cannot access me to wherever he would go and post, except for Facebook, because I had a few choice of words that I want to say to him directly. I didn't save those comments of what I said specifically, unfortunately, but I wanted to know, like, I wanted to call him out and see how he would go and react. So I did save his response, and this was the last thing that he said to me. So his response after me calling him out, he says, why are you still egotistically imply that I am an egomaniac beyond your natural nature and political opinions? If I am honestly nothing compared to what you achieved, yet you refuse to support some people who have in common with your Disney passion in the past, and I think there is something that you should keep in mind, that when there is a no in every chance corner, a yes comes eventually. Though it seems that in our case, it's becoming very tough since we tried to communicate in the past. I may lack things compared to what you've done, plus struggling, but at least I proudly fight for anything possible. Now, all you have to say is comparing to me pointlessly out of place, senseless politics, if you please, sarcastically speaking. And that's when I told him that he has the same ego as Elon Musk and Donald Trump, in order to accomplish certain goals. And you should be grateful, Matt, that I am honestly about to animate Figment as part of my portfolios based on your voice acting samples. At least that is something that shall cheer you up eventually from your bad lucks, because you could consider that as my considerable support for you to gather your voice acting opportunities, and not as a typical fan or even fan in general, but at least like a big technical sibling, like it or not, as a figurative compliment of yours that is still loyally thankful to the main events you highlighted in the past. Even though right now for me and others about to watch every content of yours is not that very important like it used to, when most of your content has even changed. I'm sorry if I'm screwing things for you again, but I obviously don't have evil intentions. And from there, you see every toxic trait that he has. The stalker aspect of still trying to follow me, the deflection of all forms of criticism, of trying to ignore of every piece that I am trying to say about him. Like, honestly, like, I would love for the guy to improve, but clearly it's impossible. The fact that he is still trying to enable him, the fact that he's still trying to enable himself as the superior being, of saying that he's the one that will cheer me up, and that he's still trying to say that we're big technical siblings, despite the fact that I told him to freaking stop with that stupid lie. Like, every single aspect, like every single toxic trait has all been highlighted, and that right there tells me that honestly I gotta cut him out. I gotta cut him out of my life. That he has really become so toxic that, yes, like, I really do feel like this person will be responsible with ending my life if I ever meet him in real life. So yeah, honestly, it was just so ridiculous. And this was something that I have legitimately endured for years. So yes, Devin, I am going to publicly apologize to you, saying I am sorry. I wish I've listened to you. I wish I've listened to you before and just blocked the guy, because clearly this dude is just way too insane. Like, definitely a lost cause. He's never going to listen. He's always going to think of himself as superior. He's always going to deflect any form of criticism. He's going to live in his own freaking la la land, thinking that one day he'll legitimately become an animator, but with that kind of attitude, that will never occur whatsoever. So honestly, it's just something that I need to go and express my grievances, and to share with everyone, like, this cautionary tale to please don't be like Diego. Don't be like Scout Art. Don't be like that guy, because honestly, all you're going to do, because honestly, with this sense of superiority and with the way that you want to try to force yourself to make some kind of friendship or like some kind of business partnership, it just does not work that way. Okay, honestly, you need this is exactly why you need freaking humbleness. It's honestly ridiculous, and I gotta share this story with how crazy all this was, that this is an individual that has some serious problems. And no, it, like, honestly, having Asperger's doesn't count as a problem. It's much more beyond that. It's just the egomaniac attitude and just living a fantasy that for some reason you're this freaking child prodigy and this multi-talented artist when you're anything but.
And also, guys, if your best friend is trying to tell you you should block them, actually listen to them, because half the time they're right. So that is
Yes.
another, like, if your best friend is telling you the same thing over and over again, half the time they're right, and they have seen the other side. And I'd like to say this too. I forgive you, Matt. So I'm thrilled you finally learned your lesson.
Mhm.
And also, there's a difference between I was also a fan of Matt's a long time ago. I was a big fan of Matt's. Here's a huge difference between Diego and I. Diego has an ego who thinks he could have been friends with Matt. Me, I was just a fan who loved his work and I just got lucky.
Actually, you know, the funniest thing is, believe it or not, people, do you know the first thing that we have done, like to connect, like the first time that we've met, or one of the first times that we have met, you know what was the first thing that we have actually done? Is actually argue about
Argue.
Maleficent and Finding Nemo. Like, we just went into that, like, we were just ranting and arguing with each other, and that's what sparked the friendship. That's where it grew from there.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I remember that when we first met, I was so freaked out. We were friends, both friends with James and Morgan at the time, and I was like half tempted to bail. And Morgan's like, "No, stay," and I stayed, and we started talking about. I think Morgan left for a little bit because he had like a family conflict. James and you and I were talking about Maleficent. You and I started arguing for 10 to 15 minutes. James was just watching, like, oh my God. We could not stop arguing. We were arguing back and forth forever. You left, and here I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what did I just do?
No, I
This guy's
didn't.
not gonna be friends with me."
No, I left. Hey, I left because I think it was late. Because I
You
remember,
were. It
yeah,
was
because
real
at the
late, I
time,
do remember.
yeah, at the time they always like stay up until like 3 or 4 in the morning, so I had to bail out early.
Yeah.
But then we we
Yeah,
we connected, and the rest is history, I guess. And trust
I
me, Devin.
joke.
Yeah, and trust me, Devin actually played a significant role in helping me improve, like, as a person. Honestly, like a lot of it, is contribute. Like a lot of like how I've improved my behavior over the years is like thanks to her.
Yeah. I'm telling you guys right now, people think arguing with your friends is healthy. I'm not gonna we're gonna Matt and I don't always agree. That's our secret to our friendship. We don't always agree with each other. And you know what? That is perfectly okay. I don't care that much if about Matt has his dislikes and likes and I have my likes and dislikes. Do we get on each other's nerves? Yes, we do. Do have I accidentally hurt him? Yes. Has he hurt me? Yes. It's normal. Guys, friendships happen. Things happen. Friends argue. It's gonna be a thing. When you realize that instead of feeling like you're the fan and he's the creator, instead I realized he's my friend. He listens to me. He respects my opinion. He asks me for my opinion. And instead of just brushing me off like I'm nothing, I was treated like, hey, like, wait a minute, her opinion actually makes sense to me. And I appreciated that. A lot of people kept asking me over the years, like, how did you become friends with Matt? I'm like, I just was arguing. I mean, what? I was just being my sassy, crazy old self. I don't know. That was basically it. I wasn't doing anything other than trusting myself, but I also respected his boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
He came to me, not the other way around. Guys,
Exactly. So I think the big lesson to learn from all this is to just learn to, you like, if you want to form friendships, if you want to form bonds and stuff, you like, or just as a person, if you want to be considered a good person, you got to learn to be humble, you got to learn to be kind, and you should never force things. Okay, friendships and connections and stuff like that, you should never try to go and force it, regardless of how you may feel. If the other person doesn't feel that way, if there's no connection for the other person, then it's not meant to be. You shouldn't force people to do things what you specifically want. And that way You'll be able to form bridges. You'll be able to form friendships. You may even be able to form love. If you try to do what Diego does, like be so narcissistic, so egotistical, try to force things to make things to have it go your way and stuff. Like if you disrespect other people's wishes, if you only care about what you want things to happen, honestly, all the opportunities that you're going to have, they're gone. Like they're just going to be dead in the water and you'll have no one in your life. You're just like, you're going to end up being alone. So that's honestly the big thing that the biggest takeaway from this entire story. So there is some substance to talking about an insane fan.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about me.
Exactly.
Though I am an insane.
Well, yes, you are insane, Devin, but it's a different kind of insane.
I couldn't resist that quip right there. That was easy.
Yeah. So with that said, I would like to go and ask you all, for anyone who is still on the chat wall, what do you think of this entire story? Do you have any comments that you would like to say? Any opinions? So feel free to go and say that. Let's see. After I saw his comment, after I made my comment talking about a bad experience in the theater in the post on Facebook you made, and wow, all I could say is, what? I sometimes looked at the comments at times, but Diego seems to be pulling the I'm your biggest fan trope like Syndrome or Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, but can't handle criticism comes to life, and I'm so sorry you two have to deal with that crap. This guy is so unhinged and a complete a-hole, and I hope to God he doesn't come back. I mean, I've blocked him on all accounts, and I made it clear that I never want to talk to him again, so pretty sure. Like, honestly, Diego really feels like he's right in between Syndrome for The Incredibles and the crazy lady from Perfect Blue, the one that turns out to be, you know, the one who is like the main character's manager, but is actually a psychopath. Like, he's in between. He is in between that. Yeah. Let's see. This is honestly just insane. I do remember there were times when Diego would show up in the podcast, and I didn't really think about it back then. But seeing just how this guy is completely toxic, and this really is the definition of an abusive relationship, and he's the kind of guy that needs to go on a mental asylum, because this guy has a serious mental problem. So overall, excuse my language, but F this guy. Also, maybe I should have said this before, but please do not go and actively try to find Diego and go harass him and stuff like that. I condemn any form of harassment online whatsoever. There's no point in talking to the guy. So I just want to go and make that clarification before things get too ugly. Okay. So just want to make that statement.
I agree. Just block him. Don't even acknowledge him, just block him.
Listen to Devin. Block the guy if you ever see him. And apparently that's also another thing to go and mention. Apparently, I'm not the only one here. Apparently, he does have that kind of reputation in other parts of the internet where he has been blocked on several different groups across social media and has been called out for his insanity by other people, in which his response is always, "Don't underestimate me." Yeah, so let's see here. This guy sounds like a real piece of work. Like, I'm a major fan of yours since 2011. I get excited whenever I get acknowledged by you, but I'm not going to pretend we're friends. I would like to work with you sometimes because I really like your voice acting demo, but I also know that's a long ways and you have rights. I am a fan. I'm not going to pretend that it could be anything more. I question how old Diego is because this sounds like a child, like he doesn't understand the industry. I think, honestly, he was like I think he's like in his 20s or something, honestly.
I don't remember. I didn't ask.
Yeah. Anyways, wow. I've seen Scout Art pop up in the chat wall from time to time, and I'm starting to notice a lot of his more douchey tendencies looking back on it, but do you guys remember the opening of The Incredibles where Syndrome keeps trying to get in good with Bob, and he just says, dude, like, dude, what? No, what? No, don't do that. This is what it feels like, down to the point where I think he may actually be a supervillain. Overall, I need to break this from this guy. I'm going to Taco Bell. Anyone want anything? Cheese fries? Anyways, This guy is certified insane. Even Syndrome from The Incredibles would look at that guy and say, dude, you're embarrassing yourself. Scout art is here. Scout art here should be used as an example to remind us viewers on one big thing about content creators. They are not your friends. It is important to understand that we only have a parasocial relationship with our favorite content creators, and that there are bigger limits to what we are allowed to say and do. And if you can't respect that, then you should just buzz off. Exactly, man. So yeah, I saw this post while waiting to see Spider-Verse. Once I saw it, I was like, this cannot be real. I only replied to this individual with a John C. Reilly gif saying okay as a mockery of him. I was shocked about this guy's statement. I also did apologize to you, Matt, about this. This is not about us Mexican filmmakers. We are doing our best to be good people and not like Diego. Seriously, F that guy. Hope you did like Spider-Verse though. Oh, you'll see when my review comes out this week. Let's see. I think I'll go with one more comment and then we're going to cap this off here. This is on, no, I didn't read this comment. Anyways, this is honestly just insane. I do remember there were times when Diego would show up in the podcast and I didn't really think about it back then. But seeing just how this guy is completely toxic, and this really is the definition of an abusive relationship, and he's the kind of guy that oh no, I think I've read that. I need to go to a mental asylum.
You did read that one already.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, this one I have not though. And that's the lesson of not getting your hopes too high, folks. After hearing the stealing and the prophecies he did, he's a real disgusting toxic fan. I'm really sorry that you guys have to deal with him. Diego really needs a doctor to check on him. He's basically Chris Chan, but obsessed over AniMat instead of Sonic and Pikachu. Seriously, his behavior is very nonsensical and dangerous. Kids, be humble and respect others.